Hello everybody, Darren here, and welcome back to Satisfactory. Now in the last episode, I had just finished building and powered on my fused frame factory, which has now reached its full output potential of 16 fused frames per minute and 20 heavy modular frames per minute as well. Place seems to be running pretty well, and I also just streamed, doing some of the cosmetics of the factory and troubleshooting some of those smaller issues I had as well. Now, as of recording, my plan is to stream every Monday on this channel, so make sure you subscribe if you want to get notified for when those are happening. Also, my Discord is now open to all, and you can join by going to discord.gg/WDP. There'll also be a link in the description. Now, when Update 8 comes out, I plan on running a multiplayer server for Satisfactory, and I've also got a few other ideas on how to get you involved in future videos, which is why I want you guys to get in there. Now, today, we move onwards. The next goal of mine is to rebuild and update my computer factory. I worked out the recipes and the volume of goods I'm going to need. The target is going to be 20 supercomputers per minute, but there's a lot of foundational work to be laid before we can actually start. So today's episode, I'm going to be building a brand new transport hub in the south of the map that's going to suck up all the resources around it and then ship them to where they need to go for this new computer factory. But before we begin, let's take a quick look at the fused frame factory and our to-do list on the right-hand side of the screen. The first thing I want to get done is finally cross off that milestone that's been sitting on the top of the screen for a while. Leading edge production, 50 fused frames, 100 supercomputers, and 1,000 steel pipes. Now, the supercomputers used to be automated a little bit at a very, very low rate, but I've decommissioned the old computer factory, and that's why we're going to be building a bigger and better and more efficient new one. But I do have the 100 supercomputers we're going to need to do that, so that's going to be no problem. Then we're going to be building a radar tower in the south of the map, because there actually isn't one there, and then trying to grab as much of the copper, caterium, and iron that we find down there, and decommission a lot of the older buildings down there too. So let's begin. So first off, we'll just have a little look around at what's changed in case you didn't see the stream, or, well, actually I've done a little bit even since then. In fact, we'll just head outside for a moment. So this is sort of the exit of the factory, right? This is where the trains are going to be heading out. And the place isn't done yet. You know, people often lament the fact that I don't finish my factories, and it's just because it takes a long, long time. But now with streams, I think I can do a lot more on those streams in terms of cosmetics and finish a few of those little projects I often leave behind. So make sure you tune in on Mondays for that. And the great thing with the streams is that you guys have creative input as well. I often defer to you about what looks better. And one of the great suggestions came from a guy called Tom, who showed me how to do sort of diagonal foundations. And that way I was able to do this nice little rail that delineates the railway from the actual floor space of the factory. And a few people had different ideas as well, but I want to shout out Tom. He got the right answer, and his one looked the best. So it looks really good. Inside the factory itself, it's mostly what you would have remembered or recognized, although it's just more windows and more walls going around the place now, more finished. Although the back of the factory, as I often do, is sort of unfinished, but we'll get to that eventually. So that's going to be the entrance for when the trains come in. So it's going to have a very similar entrance than we just saw at the exit. And this area's got little skylights and things like that. I like breaking it up so it's not just completely symmetrical. That's something I actually talked about on that stream, which is you can do symmetry, right? Symmetry is nice. It often looks good. But it can just be a little bit, what's the word? I don't know. It's almost like unnatural. Not that buildings are ever natural, really, but there's some, it gives character. That's what it is. It gives you character when you have uneven edges or certain like modules on different buildings. If you remember my oil processing plant, which we'll pass by, there's all these different like little buildings jutting in and out of it. And that just makes it look like it has some character and it looks really cool, I think anyway. But yeah, so that's kind of one of the reasons I decided to do that for this place. So we had skylights on this side, but not on this side for that very reason. Not much else to show down here. Let's go up to the floor number 6. That's going to be blending and manufacturing logistics. All the blue floors are for logistics, and the red floors are for the actual factory floors where we see the machines. Seeing a lot of green lights down there, looking good. Alright, so on this floor, this is logistics where we actually make the final product, basically, which is why I wanted to come up here. So we've got the area where we've got fused frames. Now there's nearly 1,800 in here and 2,400 in here. It looks like we're actually full up, which is good. We make 20 of these per minute, 16 of those per minute, so it's as to be expected that this would fill up faster. But we can actually just throw this into the awesome sink now. I've just been emptying them out for a while because I don't know really what else to do with them. At some point we've got to build it so they can go down to the trains, and then if these are needed in something, which I'm sure they are, we can send it over to the train, or as I mentioned in the future, if I think it's a high pressure cube or something uses the fused frames, we'll throw them into that obviously, and I think that might even be possible to just do it right here. Alright, cool. We'll just head upstairs, get one last look at the place, and then we'll begin our journey. Alright, there we have all our blenders, of course, and our manufacturers. Now, some of these I've been stop-starting just a little bit because I actually wasn't making enough water, which meant I wasn't making enough concrete, but I've just fixed that. So this should come back up. Pretty sure, anyway. It should just be this one, that one, and that one that were a little bit slow. But we actually make more. It doesn't really matter. The blenders that are making the fused frames never slow down. They've never not been at 100, so they're totally fine. Sometimes I'm not hitting my heavy modular frame target, like I said, just based on whether or not I think I wasn't making enough water, which is leading to not enough concrete. But it should be fine. Alright, yeah, let's get the hell out of here now. So on the back side of the factory, I guess I'll just show it really quickly before we see the front again. It's just ultimately not done, and it'll probably just look like the front. This place has ended up looking kind of like a giant office block at the front, and there's not much I can really do about that, but the uneven edges around the back have made it a little bit trickier to get it looking good here. So that's something I'm gonna have to be working on. But I love this area. I think this is really cool. All the refineries. There's not many refineries in this factory, actually. This is all of them. And all their chimney stacks do stick out on the outside, which is cool. Alright, it's getting late, so let's just hop down. And we'll hop on a train and get the hell out of here. So, I had stuff to talk about while I'm on this train ride, and I can kind of talk through the idea for this factory and what needs to be done to get it up and running effectively. So let's just hop on this train, queue up where we want to go. We're going to head to the South Junction Imports, just save changes, and then tell it to automate. Alright? So, just while it's nighttime really quickly, let's check our map. So we're obviously up in the northwest corner of the map. This is where my fused frame factory is. Actually, maybe I'll wait until we get outside before I block the entire screen. One thing that I find cool looking back on, I've taken elements from all my different factories every time I build a new one. So it's like the little rooftop there with the pillars, that's from like the aluminum factory and the bauxite I was gathering before. So it's just kind of cool to see like all the different ideas kind of keep coming together and piling on top of each other as I keep building and building. If I do say so myself. It's nice for me to look back on and see like I'm learning all the time. Alright, anyways, so this journey should be kind of interesting because what I'm inevitably going to have to do is decommission a lot of stuff. And I'll be doing that off screen, but we're passing the aluminum factory and that's totally fine. But the next thing we're going to be passing after the oil processing plant is the old computer factory. And the old computer factory is going to be completely torn down. I was thinking of leaving it standing as like a hollowed out factory, which maybe I'll do. I don't plan on putting anything else there. But I do plan on taking all the machines out of it and really just removing it from the grid completely, just to make sure that it's totally empty, not affecting anything. Alright, so we're just passing by the old computer factory. So this computer factory was initially doing, I can't actually even remember the amount, but a very small amount, maybe like 6 computers per minute. And then I eventually actually changed a couple of the manufacturers to do high-speed connectors and supercomputers, so the volume was even less, and it wasn't at 100%, so it wasn't even running one of these at 100%, so it was just a very small trickle effect of getting some of these things before. That factory is now disconnected from the world grid, as it were, in terms of power, and it's pretty much decommissioned and out of use. So I'm going to clear it out completely for machines at some point in the future, and it's just going to be a hollow factory. I was thinking of even getting rid of the windows so it properly looks like abandoned, which I think could be kind of cool. However, I'm not going to be doing that for this other stuff that I'm going to be talking about now, and that is the, well, let me show you. In order to make 20 supercomputers per minute, I'm going to require a huge amount of caterium, at least huge for me, thousands. And their ingots and all of that. And then we're going to also need a lot of copper and a little bit of iron and just a few other things from top to bottom to get this recipe done. So this is the old transport hub. I have, I almost want to call it the old world, back at the starting area of grassy fields. It's my old transport hub. The idea of this place was very simple. It's a one-stop shop to deliver all of the different things that you need around it from all the different factories and then ship it off via rail. And that plan pretty much stays intact. However, this place just, it was I'll show you why, but it was never that good. It was kind of a half implementation of that idea. The actual docking bays and all of that, they worked just fine, but I never finished like actually how I gathered the resources. The trucks struggled to get up here. It's a bit of a mess, and it's always been a mess. So my plan here is to tear this all down. Now, some of you might not like that, but that's just what's going to happen. This entire building is going down. This building I'm standing on is going down, and this one is going down. So this is the old caterium / quickwire factory. It was doing 420 quickwire per minute. It's stalled right now, and I'll explain why. This entire transport hub actually only was really needed for the computer factory. Everything it made went to the computer factory. It's making cables, it's making quickwire, it's taking in some of the screws from that factory, which is the screw factory, and I think it had fuel delivered to it. So knowing that, and knowing that I don't need any of these things if I'm decommissioning the computer factory, I plan on decommissioning this whole place. Not even just that, I plan on bulldozing the whole place. So it's all going to go. So I just wanted to mention kind of my reasoning and the reasons for that and why. But I do plan on building, like I said, a brand new one. And it's going to be bigger and better than ever. And it'll have support for drones up on top. At least that's the idea. Okay, so, oh yeah, there's only one other thing left to talk about, which is I'm also going to be getting rid of the old copper factory. I'm going to keep the old iron cube here just because it was always here from the beginning, and it's so ridiculous looking that people have grown to like it, and I agree, there's something nice about just having it there. But I'm going to be getting rid of this one. This is the old copper factory. We're just going to take a really quick look at what it did, and then that'll be it. So I just wanted to do a little tour of everything that's going to be gone, so that you can see it kind of one last time and understand what it was doing. So this is only ever a Mark 1 miner, and you know, it was only ever doing 60 copper per minute, copper ore, and everything I really needed for copper was made here, except for obviously when I built new factories such as aluminum, we just used the copper on site. So this place actually hasn't really been in use for a very long time. It makes wire, cable, and copper sheeting that are in those 3 boxes, and it just sort of throws everything else into an awesome sink, and it doesn't go anywhere. So it hasn't been doing anything for a very long time. Whoops. So I'll tell you really quickly, the plan basically, like I said, just to reiterate, the computer factory that is here is already off the map. It's decommissioned. The transport hub, which we can kind of see here, is going to be decommissioned completely and dissolved, destroyed, whatever word you want to use. Same with the caterium refinery, and same with the copper refinery. So those 3 are all going to go. The screw factory can stay there for now, and then we're going to build a brand new transport hub in the same place and hoover up all the resources that we get around this area. Now there's no radar tower down here, so I can't actually see that, so we're going to get to working on that soon. I'll build the radar tower after I decommission all these things. It's nighttime now, so I'm going to get to work and actually start tearing these factories down and try to save as many of the important materials as I can for building more stuff. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, you find me at the crack of dawn just outside the location where the copper factory used to reside. That's right. The transport hub, the caterium factory, and the cable factory underneath the transport hub, along with the copper factory where I'm standing right now, have all clearly been dismantled. In their stead, we find many, many storage containers now full of material for designated, repurposed materials for future building, is what I would say. Alright, so let's get to it. So we have our... It took such a long time, by the way. I just want people to know the pain that I went through. It actually took a very long time. I've often said, why would anyone restart the game when you can just dismantle things and continue? Now I know why. It takes hours to tear things down. But anyway, it's all gone. So we have on the right side of the screen, we want to get that milestone done. Radar tower, copper mining, etc., etc. So let's hop on over towards the hub and actually commit to the milestone. So I just ran out to the steel factory just now to grab some steel pipes. We should have everything we need in the inventory. And we can see what it's all about. Right, so leading edge production. Leading edge production, that's going to give us turbo motors, miner Mark III, and thermal propulsion rockets. No joke, I have no idea what it takes to make any of these. It's funny because on that stream I recently did, people are like, oh, so, you know, how many supercomputers do you need and why? And I'm like, I don't know. I have no idea. So we're just going to figure it out. And I truly just never look ahead. And even if I ever sometimes do catch a glimpse, I just forget. I'm really bad that way. So let's see. So turbo motors, miner Mark III, thermal propulsion rocket, which obviously is space part. We've got everything we need. 50 fused frames, supercomputers, which are not currently automated, and then steel pipes, which currently are. Let's hit the big button. Leading edge production. Send her off. I want to go straight to that gas planet, one of the rings. do something over there with it. Milestone reached. Turbo motors can now be constructed in order to build the latest fix-it improved factory buildings such as the Miner Mark III. A new project part enables progress to the next phase. Alright, let's check the damage. Well, first off, actually, I'm kind of curious. Miner Mark III. It says it does 240 resources per minute. Oh, damn. It actually takes 5 supercomputers and 10 fused frames. Damn, I didn't realize that. I mean, it's not too bad, but I thought it would take heavy modular frames, because this takes modular frames. So I thought, you know, one leg up. But the actual, to take supercomputers as well as turbo motors is a little rough. I expected the turbo motors, because normally when a milestone unlocks something, the requirements are usually those things that are used to build the thing in the milestone, if that makes sense. So that's kind of a, you know, more of an obvious one. Let's check the project part. What was called thermal propulsion rocket. Alright, we got 5 modular engines, 2 turbo motors, 6 cooling systems, and 2 fused modular frames. Okay, so the good news is, put that one in the bag, right? Send that to the bank, that's done. 2 fused modular frames, done. Cooling system. We actually did have a look at this before, because we had this recipe already. So it takes a heat sink to make these. We've got 2 recipes for it right now, 1 alternate. So it's made in a blender. We mix motors and nitrogen gas, which I actually have a huge amount of, just in reserve, not used right now. So that's all fine. Though that should be totally doable. I make 15 motors per minute, actually right over there in that factory, and it doesn't go anywhere. So there's a place to send it. And then what else was it? The heatsink itself. So heatsink, we've just got 1 recipe to make a heatsink, and that's alclad, of which I make 500, and that doesn't go anywhere. Obviously, we use a lot of it for making belts, but I make 500, so that's fine. And then copper sheets, which we don't make anywhere, really. Especially not now that I just tore down the copper factory. Okay. So that's doable. Like, relatively easily. The one that's probably not going to be so easy, just last thing I want to look at then, is the turbo motor itself. So it's going to take the cooling system, which we just looked at. Radio control units. Interesting. So we make about 16 of those per minute, I think, right now. Kind of demands a lot. It takes 3.75 per min. So you can only really... Okay. Wonder if there any alternates for turbo motors. Because that is the one thing I don't really like. It just seems to be taking a lot of that. 7.5 motors per minute. So I make 15. So again... kind of on the expensive side. And then rubber. Rubber not too bad actually, because I have a lot. Okay, so that's the challenge. Turbo motors are a little rough. Lesson learned. What else? Now, to be fair, this is to ultimately make, at least for this, to make a thermal propulsion rocket, which I don't need to have a super high volume of. I mean, it'd be nice to obviously make them faster, but I'm totally fine leaving that at 1 per minute or something if that's what's necessary. But, you know, ideally it would be more than that. All right, so then the modular engine. We had a look at this before. Motors. Ah, see, yeah, you need even more motors. Do I automate this anywhere? I don't know. I don't think so. I obviously did at one point. Anyway, I get the assembly wiring kit or whatever it is. Automated wiring, that's it. Yeah, so I make those automated. Anyway, all right. Well, it was just good to kind of have a look at that. I can kind of explore it now in my own time. Let's get to the next thing. So let's just go milestone done. I'm missing concrete, so let's just go grab some. And actually, give me as many of these miners as you can. Alright, off we go. Let's begin. So, here's the idea. In place of the copper factory that was here, instead, we're going to build mining enclosures, which are going to grab all the resources and send them to the new Transport Hub 2.0. And from there, we're going to ship them around the map. It doesn't have to be in massive volume, but the great thing is, it's like, oh, if I need more copper, we just build another enclosure, which I've blueprinted, on another deposit, and just send a truck to go get it. And that's the idea. And that way that we're constantly feeding the same rail network, so it should be okay. I mean, that's the idea. So why am I here? It's to build the radar tower. That's next. So, before I put it down, you can actually see via the map. If you look at all the radar towers in position right now, I'm in this like empty pocket down the bottom. The radar towers show me where all the resources are if we toggle this on.
And I just don't really know what's down here. I mean, obviously I've scanned it many times, but it'd just be good to get a real-time info on that. So let's just get that activated. So somewhere down here is fine. If it needs to move a little bit in future, no biggie. Alrighty, and we can call this grassy fields. Goddamn. Something I'd really... A pet peeve of mine is that they don't name the biomes in the game. They just name them on that website, Satisfactory Calculator, and also the developers have recognized those names, but they're not actually named in the game. It just says coordinates. It'd be nice if you hovered over the biomes, it told you or something. Anyway, I digress. So a lot more slugs are available again, and all the fauna. Cool. No hard drives, which is important. We've gotten all those. And now we can see everything. So if I just get rid of vehicles, trains, and map markers, we can just see purely just the resources and I guess the hub. Yeah, so this is the big cluster I knew about. So what we could do is have a look at resources and then hover over things. So I'm here to get caterium primarily. So there's 2 deposits out there. So we had this one previously, pure. And the one out by the waterfall, which is also pure. If we have a look again, just pull back a bit. Alright, so we got one up here that's pure. This one's normal, and it said there was one over here, I think. Normal. Alright, good to know. There's some quartz around this area too. Although probably even outside our jurisdiction. But yeah, good to know. We can see the uranium on the map. We can see 3 deposits total. If you want to highlight that, boom. And then you can actually hover over the ones that are claimed and unclaimed. So I'm claiming 2 caterium right now, and I've got a lot unclaimed. So the reason that I'm doing all this really is for caterium, but of course, just at the same time, you might as well get the extra copper and the iron again. Alright, so let's mark that as done. That was radar tower. Good. So let's begin. So I'm kind of excited to show you guys this. So we've seen this before slightly, but now I've modified it. The blueprints I have for miner enclosure, right? So this is the miner enclosure. And that's roughly what it looks like. Let's just get me some power here so we can fly. Alright. So the plan going forward is to hopefully, in a sort of quicker fashion, build a miner enclosure somewhat like this. And that's a nice little pre-made, prefabbed room with power already going in and being hooked up to the various things. A little belt coming out. But this is going to be a different one because I'm going to add on the truck stop. So just to get started though, we'll put down the actual mining thing. Just Miner Mark II. I can't afford Miner Mark III. Don't have any of those turbo motors. I could angle it maybe about there. Alright, just close that back up. And color it as well. Alright, good. So, the next thing, and this is the bit that I was excited to kind of show off, is a modular blueprint where we can add on to this. I've got 2 different variations of it. A truck station enclosure, which is like almost like one that can stand on its own. And then a truck station enclosure alternate, which is really meant to be snapped onto an existing mining enclosure. Alright, so let's just snap that on and then we can see it. If I could have just held it in place, I would have, but until the next update, we can't do that. So basically, we've got a truck station, right? All the signage related to that. It's done in the same style as the actual miner. We can see that I've actually messed up the pillars slightly, so I can update that, no problem. And the idea here would be that if we've got multiple mining enclosures together, we can then snap on one of these onto one of them and feed all the belts into it, and then a truck just has to come by and pick this stuff up. So hopefully this should make collecting all these resources a lot quicker and also keep the buildings looking kind of nice. So it does mean I have to do a little bit of manual work because this enclosure could be on its own, and if it's not, we just chop away those walls. And depending on a few of the things, we might have to chop or change a couple things around, which I'll do in just 1 second. We just got to wait for the autosave. Alright. So, let's just begin. Let's fix this pillar. Let's get rid of that one. We'll get rid of... This can be added in here. That can go away. This doesn't need to be here because this isn't sending its stuff anywhere. It's just sending it into a truck stop, so that doesn't need to be there anymore. Gonna put another door on this side. We can get rid of this pillar. And this can go. Right, so grab that, grab this, and this. Paint it black. Drag the beam out. Paint that black. Alright, cool. Looking good. So blueprints are always going to be 4x4, at least for now, until the developers decide to change that, till they come to their damn senses and decide that it should be 5x5 at least. But as it stands, it's 4x4, and if that's going to be the case, I'll have to just manually extend this out to make it a bit more even on this side. We'll just color this as well. And then we've kind of got this, this can be a window. We've got this relatively quick way of building a whole minor enclosure with its truck stop in there, and then now it's got its road network attached to it as well. We can disconnect this now. Alright, we can even feed it power right now if we wanted to. Just bear with me 1 second. I think the Minecraft music was playing one of the soundtracks from one of the discs you can get in game, and it was just a little much for me to handle in the background. That weird like jazz step. Alright, let's grab this and we'll fix and update the pillar that was missing. So I could do that next time we build. I'll just quickly go into the blueprint and fix that as well. So, yeah, interesting. We'll have to climb up real quickly and just extend out the roof as well. Alright, good. And I'll do any extra little bits I've left behind later. Don't want to bore you guys too much with this. Bonk. Don't worry about the bushes. Alright, almost done. Just grab this, put the railing back in here. Maybe to there. Make a little staircase. Alright, and then we come in that way. We can connect up the belt now. Like so. Paint it. Alright, so when this gets its power, the lights should come on during the nighttime, and the truck station should get its power and everything. So yeah, looking good. So power comes in here, goes around this way. So this one needs to extend out here. Something like that. I'm just trying to remember. I don't know why the power loops around like crazy, but yeah. There we go. So that should turn it on now. And we can throw in our overclockers should we need them. So now we're doing 300 per minute. We were doing 60 per minute in the old copper factory. So obviously this can then be sent off to a bigger copper area or just into a different factory that wants to smelt it locally. And the truck station has its power and everything. So then we just say the vehicle is set to load. There's not going to be any fuel in here, so that's okay. Alright, last thing then would be to just add out the staircase out this way as well. Alright, I'll just paint it, and then we're done. Now, that did take a little bit longer than it normally would. I was just kind of also figuring it out for the first time, and I'm not always going to be extending it the way I did to have a platform on this side. I'm just kind of feeling that out. So just make sure, and I don't need to paint it every single time and everything as well, but it's just to get the broad idea, and we'll step back and have a look at it in just a moment. That's weird. Okay. Alright, there we go. So there is our little, I mean, it's pretty quickly done, right? I mean, a miner thing is placed in, the roof, all the power cables all hooked up, lights are going to come on during the night, the signs are in place. So how do the signs work? Well, basically, we have the bay number, so this is truck stop maybe 1 or whatever you want to call it. In fact, we could call it 1, because it basically is the first one. Let's call that 1. Then we've got how many miners are inside or attached to this particular truck station. I just think that's kind of an interesting number to know. So we'll just say 1 for this one. But it could be, in the case of this cluster down here, it could be like 8 or something. So we'll just say 1. How many trucks? Obviously, there's nothing on it right now. I left this here in case I wanted to add additional info. And this one, for instance, can just say 300. So we have 300 per minute, 1 miner attached to it. This is bay number 1. Done. Okay, so we'll move on now to go towards the caterium area, because the real thing I actually need to get is caterium. I don't actually need the copper and stuff like that as much. That was just something I wanted to kind of feel out and see how it looked. I'm just going to also give this a foundation so it's not super floaty. Okay, there we are. I'll be interested to see what people think of that. Just for something to be able to get it done a little bit quicker. And then we can obviously put road signs and stuff like that down. So that's going to be, let's just tick off doing copper mining. Now we'll do caterium mining next. So do I have my little vehicle? I do. So we can just drive over there. So the caterium mine, we actually need 1,200 caterium ore. So that's going to be 2 pure deposits. Now with the miner Mark III, it says it does 240 on a normal deposit. I'm guessing the max you can ever overclock something to is 780, right? Because that's the max belt anyway. So there's no point getting more than that, even if it's I don't know if it's possible or not, but it shouldn't be if that's going to be the max belt. So 780 maybe you can get from a pure node of caterium. I'm not sure. Once it's all upgraded. So here we are then. This is where we're going to be working next. So this one's a tricky one. Oh, you know what? There's no power out here. I'm going to have to make a quick dash back, and I'll just drag a power line out and then resume. Alright, I'm back, and I've got what we need. So, let's begin. So blueprints, we'll go to the miner enclosure. We'll rotate it around so that it's... The entrance needs to be either there or there. One or the other. Probably here. So that's the way the path and road is going to go around, I think. Alright, so we got that built. We'll just add on the extra truck thing on the side. So the alternate that kind of hooks into it. Hopefully you've got enough for that. It keeps saying that it's like one more missing resource on the bottom of my screen, but I don't know why it says that. I've got everything. We can see it on the right side. So, not sure. But anyway, let's just slam it in. There we go. Alright, so hopefully that'll be all good. We'll have to build some supports or something out here, and then the bridge can kind of hopefully dress it up and make it look a bit nicer. But those two are connected now. So again, just to be a little bit quicker at this, maybe if we switch to this, we can get rid of that one. Is it? Which one? Yeah, it's this one. Alright, get rid of that, get rid of this. This can go, and this can go. Alright, so we can go inside now, and delete the walls on the inside. Yep. Just trying to think, do I need to get rid of that? I'm not sure. We could just leave it kind of more narrow. I'd be sort of okay with that. Oh yeah, I guess because this is here. Yeah, fair enough. Alright, we'll get rid of this pillar then. Same as last time, basically. Just push these things out further. Alright, so just grab this, bring it down to about there. Grab this, bring it down. Okay. And then we'll just continue on with the windows on this bottom. Alright, looking good. So our enclosure is now opened up a bit. And is this right? I think so. Yep. That doesn't need to be there anymore. This can be moved if we wanted it to, although maybe I'll just keep the door there. And just put in a regular wall again. Don't need to bother hooking it up to power. There's no point right now, so I'll figure all that out in between. It's just more the building aspect that you guys are probably more interested in seeing right now anyway. Yep. So this will be our pathway, and maybe we'll have a path that goes out and around or something like that. I'm not too sure. Or we could just make a door at the back, thinking about it. Alright, let's put in the miner. It might actually just even work on the ground. Yes, it does. So something that some people still don't know is that you can basically just put down a miner like this. And if you want, you can just upgrade it just by looking at it. So select the next tier up. And it just selects right in place. Nice way of not having to not carry around too many portable miners with you. But also, I was saying we've unlocked Miner Mark 3, so as soon as I'm able to have it... Oh, it looks cool, by the way. That cool big chunky thing at the front. But yeah, nice way to just be able to upgrade it when I come back here later on. And that way, nothing else has to change, right? Because it's all going to go via rail. It's not going into machines or anything directly, so... As long as we just take that into account with the belt speed, it's all good if we're combining belts, which at the moment we're not. Alright, so there's another truck stop, another miner going into it. That's caterium sorted. I'm going to just try to do that now by the one next to the waterfall and see if that can go okay. I'll fix the pillar support here as well and add the other pillars around the other side later. Right, so let's just clear that, and that. We don't need to fly here anymore. It's more just about getting the enclosures down. And this will be a road / bridge that will connect to over here. And I'll build some underneath bits as well in the future. So pretty big. 4 width usually is what I go for. I actually really go with 3. So maybe something like that, and I could put a diagonal thing or a fence or something. I'll see. Think about it. And yeah, actually, yeah, we'll probably just go all the way into the wall, and then you just build the little patterns on the ground to clear the area, and we'll get rid of the trees. Unfortunately, I like these trees, but it's gotta go. It's gotta go. It's in the way. There's literally nothing I can do. Yeah, and I'll build some supports and things underneath to make it look kind of like it's supposed to be hanging off the edge there. But I'm pretty happy with this. I think this is working out fairly well, and I like the alternating style to it. And yeah, we'll call this Bay 2 and put in the proper numbers of resources and everything. Alright, so the next one I need to do is just going to be over in this direction. And once that one's down, we can start work on the hub itself. Alrighty, just in position now over the other caterium ore. I just had to make a quick run to get some more materials. But I've checked my to-do list to see if we have enough for the enclosure and the truck station enclosure. And we do. This is in such an awkward little area. It's going to be quite funny trying to get it right. To help me fly in the area, though, I'm going to grab power. So people are like, oh, you don't need power. Train stations give you power. But I brought power with me along my train line. And it paid off. So suck it. Alright. I don't know why it's so passive-aggressive. Anyway. Alright, let's get out there. Sure hope this one doesn't change in the update, because there's definitely some work to be done with the water here. But it's so angular as well. I'm not really sure how this is going to go down. Let's just fly here for a moment. We'll just secure the perimeter. All right. Alright, there we go. In position correctly now. So, the idea, for me at least, was to... Let's just see if I can do this. Can that fit in the water? It actually can. Good. Was to add on the truck thing here. So, truck station enclosure alternate. Yep. Nice. So this road will have to go out that way and like join up here or join over to a little road there. So again, this tree will probably have to be cut, but that should be pretty straightforward, I think. And if we really want to, we could extend the road out and around or something. I doubt we'll ever do that, but you never know. Maybe. Alright, let's call this bay number 3. It's the third one we put down. I don't know the resources per minute. Let's see if we can get this miner enclosure built inside quickly. Alright, we are opened up and we are in. So, miner. The only way to do this is to get rid of the bottom and look at it, and then hopefully it'll just kind of snap its way in there. Alright, good. Oh my god, I think it's actually... Oh no, it's not, but it was closely aligned. Pretty good. Maybe a little off, so I'll just do this. There we go. And that way it's just bends a little bit as it comes up, but then it goes straight in. I've left a thing in case I ever have like 2 miners, or I build an enclosure with 2 inside of it, or multiple inside of it. Like all the impure nodes are only like 100 or something each, something really low, maybe 150 each, I think, overclocked. So they can obviously combine, and we could be shoveling in, what's 780 times 2? 1560 can go into one truck station at a time. I don't know if there's a problem with that. People often say like there's floating point errors in the game or something. But I'm fine with that, it's fine. Alright, just gonna quickly fix up that little area here again. Although, do we want to leave that one exposed? You gotta kind of pick a side, I guess, which one you want to be exposed and which one not. This one is overgrown already. And this one has lots of space, actually. Ah! That could have been it. That could have been the moment I died if I jumped off the wrong side there. Alright, I'll need to just bear with me a second and I'll figure out where this is, how this is going to expand out. Alrighty, there we go. So I've just expanded it, not out this side, but at this side I've extended the wall, and that keeps it fairly even. I'll have to, again, get the overpack and spend a little bit of time building some supports and stuff to make it look kind of nicer. So I'll do that pretty much right after the end of this episode. I just don't want to waste any time with that. It can be a bit finicky. But overall, the idea is going to be that the road is going to roughly, extend out this way. So we'll be driving along here, and then you'll take a turn and go that way. So probably pretty much straight up like this. I'll try to world grid it though to make sure I'm not totally off. And then the two will join up. We'll have some sort of barrier here so that the trucks don't fall over into the waterfall. And I was thinking what might be nice is this bridge could have like a little walkway running alongside it as well. And maybe a way to climb up and over to that area. We do have a little bit of grass encroachment here, but I'm okay with it, you know. I mean, considering where this is being built, it's fine. It's in such a weird spot that, yes, it's embedded in the cliff. Sue me. What can I do? Alright, so yeah, that's pretty much it. So that's the 2 caterium mines down here tapped. The same copper tapped. I'm actually not going to bother with the iron because I don't need it. Maybe in future I can always add one on, but right now I don't. I'll build a transport hub with it in mind. So that's our little area over there. We'll clean it up in the future to make it look just that little bit nicer. So, transport hubs foundations are roughly going to have to get started somewhere over here. So I'm just going to quickly scope the area out and then begin. Alright, so you just find me outside of where the miner enclosure was that we just built. I was kind of just feeling out the area for space and trying to work out where this is going to roughly go. So it's going to be roughly the same length as the old one, but just further out. That creature that does laps around the map and around the southern part of the map flies around this area. He's actually coming in for another run. So in a second, we'll see if I've left enough distance. If not, we'll just push further out. I'd like to kind of have him avoid the building if possible. It's not the worst thing. I don't really mind. I personally actually don't really mind it at all because I feel like a mod or something could probably just turn him off, or its flight pattern might change in the future. But a lot of people were like, oh, it kind of sucks that he just flies through your building. So it's like, I guess so. So yeah, we'll see if he can kind of avoid this area. It typically flew through roughly this area, so I think I've left a big enough gap. I've also got a blueprint where I have double floors in now, so very quickly and easily I can just snap in. What I mean by double floors is it's foundation 1, but underneath it it's a different material that's foundation 1 as well. Alright, your boy's taking a hard left pivot. He's coming right towards us. But yep, so we got concrete on top and steel on the bottom, so that should make life a little easier. This is at the same level as the railway, so the railway can just kind of extend out and come straight in, and hopefully be a bit more natural in going out. In fact, I could shift the entire railway out to where I made that bypass. Well, it's not even the bypass. It's, you know, it's the original line now. So maybe this could just be the original line. All right, where's your guy? Ah, oh, man, why do you have to come over so far? All right. Well, if that means that this area is the safe line, really. Good to know, I guess. Didn't see how far forward to the left he goes. I think it just takes a right turn and moves back in, so not too bad. This will be floating almost over the water completely then. Sorry. Alright. Get rid of all that. So yeah, so I kept the blueprint intact there, so it should be easy enough to just extend this out. So let's just go there, there, and there. Alright. So that's it. I don't know if it needs to ever go wider than this. I don't think so. So let's just try again. I should really hotbar this blueprint because I'm going to be using it a lot, I think. And I'm out of concrete. Alright, let me go grab some extra materials and then I'll really pave the crap out of this place. Looks pretty interesting just floating there, but it kind of gives you an idea for the scale we're going for. Well, it's got to be even bigger than this. I hope that I've left enough room down below to get everything I need done, but I think so. Alright, so double floor again. We can just look at the top now. It's a nice way of doing it. And yeah, it's just going to be a super long kind of rectangular building, I think, because I'm just going to be adding on more and more train stations. Why is there little lights? Oh, there isn't. That's just the blueprint highlighting. Alright. So I don't think it needs to go any further than there. In fact, that already might be too far, because I want that line to go straight and then curl in. But this can go much further out. That's so cool. The grid grows. Alright. Yeah, let's just keep going with it. Further and further out. It's gonna need a lot. I don't know how many stations I'm planning on having, but maybe like 6. Or sorry, 6. I'm thinking of doing them on each side, so I was gonna say 6 on each side, so 12. But I haven't committed to that yet. That might make it a bit awkward. Do I have much more material? Yeah, I still got more. And this is just one floor. We gotta do this again for the floor below. Oh my god, I just realized I'm really close to the edge of the cliff. Oh, you nearly got me, you bastard. Alright. I'll be fine. Alright, let's just do maybe 2 more layers and then we'll get the next floor down below done. It's a double floor. Let's go there, and there, and there. Alright, looking good. Alright, with that floor placed in, I think this will be the height of the truck driving floor. So it's a little tight. Just, what is it, 4, 8, 12, 16, 18 meters tall before we hit the roof. But that should be more than enough for this blueprint we have here, the truck station. Now this actually comes pre-baked in with its own floor. Might see if I can get rid of that because it's not actually really necessary for me to gauge what I'm doing in here. So let's see, blueprint. Can we get the regular blueprint machine and just edit it? I have to do it downstairs somewhere. Alright, so after playing around with the blueprint for a little while, this is what I've got. It's kind of like a hybrid of what we already had as a truck depot in the crystal oscillator factory in the blueprint as it currently stood, but then it's mixing it with the new and improved kind of signs and the metal that I've been using for the truck station enclosures we used earlier in the episode. So that allows me to actually kind of clip the two metal walls over each other, and you don't get any kind of clipping. I'll just show you really quickly. If I select it to be concrete, we then see this. It's kind of hard to see, but you do notice it. We've got this flickering going on because in order for this to kind of come out not quite the center, but almost the center, and be the center of the wall hole, this hole here, in order for that to be centered, it has to be offset from the actual foundations and the walls and stuff, which means that we have to do some clipping. The only way to get the clipping to kind of blend nicely is to use metal, and then it doesn't clip, because the metal is actually a sort of a 3D type texture. At least it's faking 3D, I think. And then if you color it, not that it needs to be, but if you color it black, it looks pretty seamless, and it just looks like there's extra metal bars on those sides. I think it looks pretty good. Nice and clean, anyway. We've got our info, how many trucks, how many mining enclosures are going there, and if it's coming in or going out, and what the good is. So that's what we got. So yeah, so this is on a bed of two foundations as well, so it should slot in quite nicely. Now, I've got this issue here where it's raised. So I found a nice way to fix this is if you go to Satisfactory Calculator and you deselect the Blueprint Designer and just select everything that's inside a blueprint and lower it down 2 foundations, or 2 meters, it stays inside the Blueprint Designer, and then you can just load the game back up and hit save, and it saves correctly. I actually had to do that before because if I don't do that and I try to place this blueprint, it'll always be like raised off the ground, which is so frustrating. Even if you try to snap it to blueprints, it just seems to want to do that. But that's a nice little workaround. If you want to use Satisfactory Calculator, you just load your save in, you look at this position on the map, you deselect the designer, and then just select everything inside of here and just move it down. I think it's just 2 meters, right? Because these are 1 meter high. So you just move it down on the Z axis 2 meters and it moves down. And that's a way to kind of fix it. So that's what I'm going to be doing. But I'm going to have to leave it there for this episode. I'll do that in between, and then we'll start building out this thing properly in the next episode. I think that was still a good look at all the different mining enclosures, advancing the milestone, a nice in-between one. I have the whole thing planned out for how I'm going to do supercomputers, so it should be a bit quicker with uploads now. My holidays and all of that kind of stuff are over now, so hopefully a little bit quicker with uploads, streams on Mondays, and that's going to be it for me. Thank you very much for watching. So, just as I was getting ready to finish, I had a quick look, and it turns out we still have some time left. I didn't want to leave you hanging, so I've gone ahead and added in that second floor. Now, the bottom floor here is going to be for the trucks themselves and the truck stations. Middle floor, which currently looks like the top floor, is going to be for the train, which I've just kind of leveled out just to make sure it's at the right height, and that's where the train line is going to continue to come in. And then there's going to be a floor above this, which is going to be doing the drones, which is a kind of a future project. Alright, so here we are. I've got the blueprint updated. Like I mentioned, I went to Satisfactory Calculator, just selected what was in that box and loaded it down 2 meters, then saved it as a blueprint in the game. And we should be good to go to get started now. So, I'm not sure how many of these things we're going to really need. Let's start 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's start about here. Why not? One next to the pole. Just to give me some room, because some of this might be chopped away depending on how those trains come in. So, let's begin. I did blueprint this, I think. Is it in undefined? Is it in logistics? Train station alt. Is this oh, it's just updated and stayed here, I think. Which, if that's the case, that's great. Now, the problem I've got here is that it's too high up. Right, so it's going to be really tricky to get this one in properly. But I think we want to basically get to there. And we need to rotate this around. Alright, I've just committed to it. I think I've got it right. Once one's down, then it should be relatively easy to do the rest. Ah, this is a little bit off. Damn it. So this needs to come up just a height of 2 more, it seems. That's all. I don't think that's really a problem, though. I mean, Let's see if I can go update the blueprint really quickly, and then I'll come back over and add the rest of them in. So, yeah, actually, there's still room in the top of this thing. So, yeah, we're good to do this. Hopefully easily enough. Alright, let's go foundations. Let's just bring this over the other way. So that's where it is, and that's where it needs to be. I'll just drag this one out. Get rid of this and this. I guess it's probably easier to do it from down below. So basically, we just need a floor hole to go right in where that is, and then reconnect them. Oh, it's so finicky. Yeah, right about there. Okay. Just reconnect this. Just in case, you know, just reconnect this. Okay, now we can get rid of that and that. And now we've got a floor hole that should be at the right height. So we'll just resave this. Should be okay. Oh, it's lost its name since I reloaded. Let's see. Truck Station Alt is what it's called. So if we just give it the same name, it'll want to overwrite something. And then we'll just give it Truck Station. And then the color, I believe, was gold. Alright, saved. Let's go. See if we can snap these others on then. And they should be at the right height. Just trying to see which train that was. Alright, so we've got one in place. The idea is that we'll snap another one on this way, and then around the back we should be able to snap them on. That's what I'm kind of most curious about, to see if that's enough room. Because I don't think it will be. Because it'll be... If we just doubled it over, you know, you've got another road section there, and then immediately you're into the curve. Yeah, so that's going to need more space going out that way. Okay, that's just good to know. Good to feel it out. But we can definitely add more on this side. And that gives us plenty of walking space. We have the truck station itself, and then 2 tiles of, like, walking space. Alright, let's try add these in again. Ah, see, now it's kicked it out of the group. It's here now. Blueprint mode. Yeah, seems good to me. And the floor holes are correct. That's what we love to see. So it's going to be 2 over. Let's go 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's try it again. Taking shape. Taking damn good shape. Now the question is, really, does this need truck bays on the opposite side? I think it's good to probably just future-proof it that way. I mean, I think so. So let's just do it. What's the worst case? I just don't use it, right? Who cares if it's there and it's not used? Alright, so in that case, I do think this needs to come out further, which means we got to go to blueprints again. I promise in the next episode I'll actually hotbar these rather than opening the menu every single time, but we're going to go out further. I'll just pave this along a little bit. Alright. So I'm giving myself some 2 extra tiles of road space in the middle for trucks to move up and down. So these 2 need to go. Yeah. Looking good. Can we fly here? No. Let's just pull this over just in case we fall. Alright, let's try this again. A little bit more awkward this time. Although, oh, actually, yeah, it'll just snap in because that's the edge of a blueprint. It wouldn't snap in before because I kind of cut into a blueprint, right? I severed half of it away, so it didn't have a proper snap point, but now it does. So let's just commit to that. And that gives us a good amount of space now in the center. Yeah, that's nice. Alright. Then we can have nice big lights and stuff going through the middle of it. In some ways it's not as cool as the old one because it doesn't have the big glass windows. Actually, I suppose we could have the glass windows on the other side. It's just for where we walk in between. And maybe after 3, I'll leave a gap for us to kind of walk out or something. I don't know. Some sort of exit or entrance would be nice. I'll factor that in, but I'm just going to put 3 down on each side right now and see how that goes. Okay, and then we just need to get rid of another little section here. Alrighty. Really need to get in the habit of, when I want to stop selecting something, pressing F and then right-clicking. It's so much better. I often do this, like I'll right-click and then it brings up the menu. But if you press F, it switches to deselect mode, and then right-click and just gets rid of it. Don't know what you guys do, but I feel like it's probably a habit I'll never break, but bringing up this screen a lot of the time probably is a bit jarring for people. Excuse me. I had a glass of Bailey's before this last end of the recording. And I'm out of my mind. No, not really. But I also had dinner. Had some pizza. Alright, so there we go. Looking good, right? I think it looks pretty nice. So yeah, some lights going along the middle. The trucks will flow along here. We just need a nice entrance and exit. This bit might be severed away. Just depends on where the trains really need to begin. And then I think maybe every 3 stops, this pillar, so this pillar here, for instance, will just have a 1 foundation gap, and then the pillar will continue. And that allows us just to have a little side door for us to get in and out. Maybe that'd be cool. I don't know if we really need it, but you don't want to have to run too long if you really wanted to come into the side. You know, if I'm the passenger, I'm just a guy walking along here, checking on my buildings. There's no way for me to get out. Don't know if we can make one of these a door. Actually, maybe that would be a more elegant solution. That could be kind of cool. Even a side door here might fit in. Let's just change it to steel. No, it won't fit there, but it could fit. It won't fit there either because it's right in front of the truck thing. What about here? Oh, it's so close to being possible. It's simply not possible. Why not? It just isn't. Why not? You guys can finish that sentence if you know what it is. Yeah, it's not going to fit. So close, though. It'd be a perfect little side door. And, like, you could cheat it, right? So if I really... Let's see what we could do. If this was the center point instead... So we'd need to move a little further over, maybe 2 tiles over from this. Let's just try 1. Sorry that I have to do this, but I'm just not sure. Oh yeah, that's looking good. Hit default on that. And that would be our cheeky little side door. Little staff entrance. But that does mean... Now, the nice thing here is these do actually blend into each other pretty nicely. Like, if they need to clip behind a pillar, no big deal, right? You won't see it. Even if you're walking behind the pillar, you won't see it really, because the steel sort of blends into each other really nicely. I don't even know where it is, actually. Is that it? Somewhere there, for sure. There it is. Yeah, that's where it's doing it. Yeah, it's seamless. Okay, great. That's really good. So yeah, maybe every few truck stops we'll just have a little side door that leads out. That could be kind of cool. Let me know what you think, because I won't do it until I read the comments anyway. Should it be a little side door every now and then in front of a station, or should it be maybe the pillars come out like this? This is why I was saying it was great to stream that time, because people could just tell me what they think. I'm not sure how the obviously we couldn't have a ramp here, so that's the bit that would look a bit strange, I suppose. But there'd be some sort of door that would connect in, I guess, maybe at the halfway point. It wouldn't have to be steel, it could be something else, but it would ultimately be like that. So that is kind of weird. I think we've all decided. I'm going to speak for everyone when I say that this is probably the solution, right? And that way we can just keep all the truck stations next to each other. Alright, so that's going to be it. Just the 6 stations, and I don't know how many I'm going to need, because it's ultimately... It's like caterium ore screws. You know, it's all the different ores. So let's say 3 or 4 different types of ores. And then maybe a few of the products we make down here, possibly. But that's kind of it. And I don't know if I need multiple stations for the same thing. I doubt it. So 6 would probably be enough. And then maybe a couple extra for taking in things. So these are all the outgoing, and maybe we'll have some at the other end for incoming. Yeah, like turbo fuel, packaged turbo fuel, and a few other things maybe. So yeah, that's the kind of working theory of how to do this at the moment. And the idea is we could just replicate this in another part of the map at some point, and it'll do the same thing. It'll gather up all the resources that are located around it, and then lift it up to that floor above and send it out. The drones I'd always imagine would do turbo fuel, thinking about it, so I don't even know if I need to bring turbo fuel back here, but we'll have to see. Alright, so I know this episode is a little bit slower, just building some more smaller things like the enclosures. Hopefully people enjoyed it. But I've got everything, like I said, in plan and in motion now to keep working on the supercomputers. It's going to be a step-by-step process. Lots of videos just in the lead-up, setting up the foundations of lots of ore to grab. We need to grab something like 2,000 crude oil, so probably going to go up here. There's a bunch up here into the Spire Coast, and that'll be probably where we're working on next. All right, that's going to be it for this episode. Thank you very much for watching, for reals this time, and I'll see you in the next one.